and welcome into episode 33 of the H&M Trucking podcast. How you doing out there today? Where are you at? Where are you headed? You guys know I love to ask that question. I-80, let me hear you out there. I know we're starting to get a little bit worried about the winter driving that's coming up around the bend, and don't worry. I've got a whole episode for you guys about it today. I know that the roads are going to start closing down out there, and I know that I-80 is one of those ones that everybody's worried about. We got a lot of good stuff for you today. We're going to talk social media as well with Faith Adams. We're going to get Dean Edmunds back in here to talk a little bit about driving safely as the weather changes. And we're also going to hear from Jim Musel from the shop. He's going to talk to us about some maintenance-related things that you can keep an eye out for during the winter months. And we'll welcome back driver Scott Beals, who joins us on the program for either his second or his third time. Always great to have Scott on the show. You want to talk about a guy with knowledge for days when it comes to truck driving and other things. That's your guy right there. I know that he loves to help out new drivers and old drivers alike, whether you work for H&M or not. Scott's out there on the road helping everybody get home safe, and we love him for it. So we'll get to all of those people coming up here in just a moment. Before we do, I want to make sure to remind you, subscribe to the podcast so you know when new episodes come out. It's free, doesn't cost you a thing. In fact, it actually generates income because likes and subscribes are dollars for my heart. Does that make any sense, or was that very convoluted and confusing? What I'm trying to say is, every time you like, subscribe, interact with this podcast, listen to it, do whatever you're going to do, it helps me out, and I greatly appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing on the air. So if you're enjoying it, share it with your friends. Tell mom and dad about it. Your wife, if you want to come on the show just to impress your wife, be like, you see that? I'm a podcast star now. Fine, let's do it. Maybe it's your husband. Maybe you're the wife in the relationship. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I need people to come on this podcast and chat with me about truck driving. So let's do it, okay? I mean, that's how I met my wife. I was on the radio and she heard me, and for some strange reason, she thought I was cool. And you know, I ended up getting to meet her in person, and the rest of the story is history. But I'll tell you right now, something about this microphone, something about talking to people over the airwaves, I'm telling you, man, the chicks kind of dig it a little bit. So if you want a piece of that, come on the podcast with me. I'd love to talk to you. Just get in touch with Eve. Interact with any of our social media posts that you see us plugging the podcast with, or tell one of your other drivers that you hear come on the podcast often. Get the word to me, and I will definitely get you on this podcast. We appreciate all the likes, all the subscribes, and all the shares that you guys do. But more than anything, we appreciate getting H&M drivers from point A to point B safely and in one piece, and that's what we're going to talk about today. It's the winter driving episode. Y'all knew it was coming, so let's get to it.
From Omaha, Nebraska, to whatever lane you're driving, this is the H&M Trucking Podcast with your host, Marcus Bridges.
I'm here with Dean Edmunds, safety manager for H&M Trucking. Dean, it's been a while since we've had you on the podcast. How you doing out there in Omaha?
Doing very good.
Awesome. Well, this time of year, it's starting to creep up a little bit where I'm sure you might be a little bit more busy than normal as the guy in charge of safety there. Now, what type of tips and tricks do you have for drivers to get ready and be prepared when it comes to winter driving?
Well, as far as driving goes, obviously, don't forget about momentum. Takes a lot longer to slow down and stop a vehicle when the ground's wet or ice covered. So allow yourself some extra space. Give yourself more time to stop, and even increasing speed take a little bit longer to do that. Avoid any sudden movements, either forward or stopping.
For sure. You know, it's interesting. You use the word momentum, and I hear it all the time in talking to drivers. In fact, last week we had one of the drivers talk about keeping your momentum to get up a hill, because if you can, you know, keep yourself in the gear that you're in and get up that hill at a regular rate of speed, your fuel mileage is going to stay where it normally is rather than dipping going up that hill. But I feel like the other side of the hill is where momentum is a concern for winter driving, because holding momentum going downhill when the roads might be wet or slick, that's got to be a little bit of a challenge to make sure that you're within kind of a safe range going down a downgrade. Can you speak to that at all and kind of talk me through how you want drivers to approach hills and things like that? Maybe they're going over mountain passes.
Well, I mean, number one thing is with winter driving, in these conditions, you want to make sure you're not using your Jake brake. You're not using cruise control. You're using the foot feed as much as possible. Kind of judge your surroundings and make sure you're got good appropriate following distance when you're on the road. And just kind of keep an eye on other traffic and see what they're doing, how they're maneuvering through the traffic and the weather.
For sure. Now, you mentioned cruise control there. I'm not aware, so you're going to have to educate me here a little bit, Dean. Why not use your cruise control while you're out there? Is that a reaction time thing? Is that what's the thought process behind that?
You don't want the continuous power going to the ground. If you hit a patch of ice or a patch of snow or something, you know, if you were driving on your foot, you would automatically pull your foot out of it, and you wouldn't have that continuous power going to the ground. Sure.
Yeah, that reaction time is always a little bit slow when you're in cruise control, even in dry and perfect conditions. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, I've slammed a corgi or two up against the back seat when I'm driving, and all of a sudden somebody hits their brakes in front of me and I'm in cruise control. It's always a little bit more of an aggressive stop than it probably needs to be, but that's what you buy yourself with that convenience is slower reaction time.
Correct. You know, with cruise control too, if you hit a patch of ice or you hit something like that, your natural reaction is going to be to hit the brake. Mm-hmm. You're going to hit the brake harder, so you're going to have, you know, that's one of the things you want to avoid is hard brake events. You want to be more gradual when the weather's like that.
For sure. That's great stuff. Now, what kind of trends do you see across the fleet this time of year when it comes to safety violations, Dean?
I don't know necessarily that the things change a whole lot as far as safety violations. I mean, we still get, you know, the speeding. Unfortunately, that's something that we're constantly trying to get under control. It's always important just to be aware of your surroundings and making sure you're paying attention to signs and what they're trying to direct you to do.
Well, it's good that you guys don't have a bunch of trends that pop up this time of year. I guess it's probably makes it a little bit easier on you to be able to just continue worrying about the things that you have to worry about, because I'm always interested to know, you know, if kind of truck fleets in general have to deal with a lot more accidents this time of year or a lot more safety violations. But aside from the general hazards on the roadway, which drivers are very conditioned to handle, it sounds like everything is pretty much the same. You know, get out and look. You got your pre and your post trip. Those are some very important things that'll keep you off that safety violation list and keeping your foot out of the gas as well.
Definitely. I mean, you touched on a point there about getting out and look. That's probably the most important thing to do when you're trying to maneuver in either to a dock or into a parking space, something of that nature. I mean, a lot of instances happen in parking lots or in docks where maybe the ice and snow didn't get cleared away real good, and a truck just kind of gets into an odd spot where it loses traction or it slides on the ice. So you got to be aware of those things.
There you go.
Getting out and looking is extremely important, so you know what to expect when you're getting ready to travel backwards.
Absolutely. That's why I see so many of those stickers inside the cabs. Get out and look. It's a good reminder. Dean, we appreciate the time as always. I know that due to the weather and just the season's turning, we're going to be having you on a little bit more frequently here in the coming months. So look forward to talking to you more, and thanks for your time today.
You bet. Thank you very much.
That's Dean Edmunds, H&M Trucking. Next up here on the H&M Trucking podcast, I've been failing at my job and haven't had her on for a very long time, but please welcome back logistics specialist from JFL, Faith Adams. Faith, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Marcus.
Now, I got told by Eve, who also is the HR director at H&M and also happens to be your mother, that you wanted to talk about some social media. for JFL and beyond. And so I thought, hey, it's going to be a good idea to just get you on here and talk about all of the social media so that the drivers know where to find it and know what you're looking for when you're operating it. Because I'm assuming you're the one that's responsible for the operations. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
So tell me about the social media that we need to alert drivers to.
Yeah, so right now I'm mainly focusing on JFL. I am going to be kind of taking over some of H&M's as well, because James is crazy like that and wants me to do it. So right now at JFL, we have our website that is live. We have a TikTok page, which is a lot of fun. And then we also have our LinkedIn and Facebook as well.
So you're loaded up with JFL social media, and I'm sure that
absolutely.
The more likes and follows that you get, the better there. So tell us where we can find these guys. Like, what do I need to search to find these JFL pages so that I can give them a like and a follow?
So for our website, it's just going to be jfllogistics.us, 2 L's in that. On TikTok, we're going to be jfl.logistics. And then LinkedIn and Facebook, you can just search JFL Logistics and find us. Also on our website, we have a new chat bot that just went live. And you can chat with an automated thing on there that kind of gives you some options on how to get a hold of us, or you can actually chat with a live person here in our office.
Oh, that's great. I kind of want to have a conversation with the chat bot on the podcast just to see if I can bend it and twist it and get it to say something funky.
You should. Tim has been working really hard on it, so you should see what it can do.
Maybe that's what I'll do is I'll try to figure out a way to get into Tim's work and try to put in some of my responses the way that I would respond to these questions. You think he would be okay with that?
You know, he actually is not enjoying doing that. He'd rather do the more logistics side as opposed to like the social media side. So he'd probably be okay with it. Okay.
All right. Well, there you go. I mean, you know, I'm just trying to help here, Faith, as much as I can.
Right. We appreciate the help.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, you know, it's the reason I ask you kind of exactly what to search is because it's one thing that has always confounded me about social media and the internet in general is that we kind of have like an internet language. Like we've got the English language down. Now we kind of have like an internet language, but every platform is different. Like TikTok, like you said, we're JFL.logistics. But if you type JFL.logistics into Facebook, it's going to take you to China and you're never going to get back. So I'm glad that we were able to go over those because there's like no consistency with you know, I guess landing pages and social media names.
No, there's not. And then if somebody took the username that, you know, you put on Facebook because it works for Facebook, but it doesn't work on, you know, Twitter, or I guess it's called X now, but Twitter or LinkedIn or TikTok, the username might be gone. So then you have to start everything completely over again. Yeah,
it's ridiculous out there. So you're out there fighting the good fight, and we greatly appreciate you for keeping all these things up and running. Because I know it's not easy. I mean, we have a team of people that works on this for the podcast. If they left it up to me, it would just be a picture of me and the word Marcus, and that's it. There wouldn't be a podcast social media. So we appreciate the work that you do because I know it's not easy, and it's better to be in the capable hands of a young person like yourself rather than an old dude like me.
Right. That is the joke going around on the team because I am the youngest one on our team. So they were like, we gave the younger one the social media so us old guys can, you know, focus on calling and, you know, answering phones and stuff.
For sure. Now, do you get to do kind of the fun side? Because you said you had a TikTok, and so I have to ask. I see a lot of these social media managers on TikTok for big companies that kind of make their hay by just messing around in the office with the people that are actually, you know, answering the phones and things like that. Do you get to take the camera around and make fun TikToks or kind of harass Tim at all where this is concerned? Or are you mostly putting together, you know, videos that are meant to kind of grow the brand and not just mess with Tim?
So the fun thing about JFL is that the workers are the brand, in my opinion, I guess. We pride ourselves on our culture and customer service, and our employees are the people who create that. So our TikTok is all about the employees. It's about what we do in the office, about the fun things that we do in the office. There's a video on TikTok right now of I ambushed everybody just randomly throughout the day and asked them what their favorite thing about JFL was. Got some really good responses for that. A few weeks ago, Brittany put herself in a box and was walking around the office bumping into drivers. because she couldn't see. So we got that on TikTok. We're going to have some interviews with James and Tim coming up soon. That'll be really good.
If I could request the next time that I come to Omaha, you put Brittany back in that box and seal it up and put it in a room so she doesn't make fun of my bald head again, that would be great.
We can do that. We can do that.
I had a lot of fun with her, but I'll tell you, she will bring you back down to earth if you've got any such opinions of yourself that aren't necessarily true.
She likes to say she's a realist.
Yeah, as real as it gets. So real you'll go home and take a long look in the mirror. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I feel bad for Grant every time he comes into the office.
Oh, yeah. He's got a target on his back for sure. It's great. Well, tell us one more time real quick, just a quick recap of where we can find this stuff before I let you go.
Yep, so our website is going to be jfllogistics.us, 2 L's in there. TikTok is jfl.logistics, and LinkedIn and Facebook are just JFL Logistics.
JFL Logistics is having fun on the social medias, so go check them out. Faith, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate the time.
Awesome. Thanks, Marcus.
That's Faith Adams, logistics specialist from JFL Logistics. All right, good stuff so far here on our winter driving episode of the H&M Trucking podcast. I want to get to some things I found here from the Advanced Career Institute. Advanced Career Institute, you can get your Class A CDL there. They do ag transportation, CDL refresher courses, welding training, and a wealth of knowledge on their website. Head on over to it, advanced.edu. This is not an ad. This is just me plugging a website that I find quite a bit of useful and helpful information on when it comes to truck driving. We don't have a lot of time, though, so I do want to get to this real quick. They posted this blog post a while back. It's 7 winter weather driving tips for truck drivers, and a lot of this is going to be old hat to a lot of you, but I figure we go through it anyway. The once-a-year refresher that this podcast is good for when it comes to winter driving. Their first tip is to carry proper supplies. They say you should always have cold weather essentials on hand. These include extra clothing layers, gloves, a flashlight, rain gear, windshield fluid, blankets, a bag of sand or salt, tire chains, jumper cables, snow scrapers, and brushes. All those things, good idea to have. Can't argue with any of those. Number 2, some could argue this would be number 1, but slow down. It says the slower you drive, the more time you have to react. Hydroplaning is also caused by going too fast. Avoid winter accidents by watching your speed. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Number 3, keep a firm grip on the wheel. Keep the steering wheel grip firmly to maintain control. Both hands on the wheel at all times to guide the vehicle through snow and ice. If you're out there driving through a blizzard with one hand on the wheel while you're, I don't know, throwing up gang signs with the other one, or maybe you're giving other drivers the one-finger salute, listen, I get it. It's frustrating out there. Keep 2 hands on the wheel. It'll be better for everyone. Number 4, allow safe space. I think this one is huge, but I think that this goes out to the four-wheelers of the world more than it does the truck drivers, because professional drivers are always giving you space. They're giving each other space. They're trying to make sure they've got enough room to stop. That's not something you got to tell these guys. But hey, when there's snow on the ground, and for those of you four-wheelers that are not smart enough to understand when that is, it's when the pavement turns white. You might want to back off just a little bit. If you're hitched to the bumper of a 53-foot trailer out there with 80,000 pounds on the back, it makes them a little bit nervous. Also, might not cut them off. That's the other thing. Like, being behind them and tailgating them like an idiot is one thing. Jumping in front of them is another thing completely. And that'll get you turned into what I used to use for a hockey puck playing roller hockey when I was a kid. We would take a soda can and we would step on it so it would go down like a hockey puck. Especially if you're driving one of those Fords with the aluminum bodies. That's what you're asking for if you're cutting off drivers in the snow. Number 5, watch out for bridges. And not me, because yes, that is my last name, but bridges, highway overpasses, and other elevated surfaces freeze faster than the regular road because they don't have a big earth full of magma pressing up on them from below. They might not be salted. Use caution when approaching bridges to avoid spinning out of control on black ice. That was number 5. Number 6 tip kind of goes in line with that. The number 6 tip is to avoid black ice. I feel like this one is very, like, it's obviously. It's very obvious. Once again, Captain Obvious in the room here. but it's really hard to avoid as well. Like, I grew up in the mountains. Black ice is called black ice for a reason. You don't see it, but they do have a couple of helpful tips for being able to discern when there might be some black ice on the road. It says here, black ice is not just found on bridges. It is a layer of transparent ice that makes the road look wet. Drivers can spot black ice when the spray from other vehicles stops. You can also watch for frost on your truck antenna and mirrors to know when there could be black ice present. I knew about the ice on the mirrors and the ice on the antenna. I had no idea about the spray, but it makes sense. It's not going to be spraying up in water form if it's frozen solid to the concrete. So something to think about there. And finally, tip number 7 from the Advanced Career Institute on winter driving. In winter, accelerate and brake slowly. If the truck is not equipped with an ABS braking system, lightly pump the brakes when you need to slow down. That's something I haven't had to do for a very long time in a passenger vehicle. ABS has been pretty standard for a long time. I'm not 100% sure how they do it on trucks. I'm sure there's some of them out there on the road. You're still pumping the brakes and pumping that clutch. You look like a metal drummer up there the way you're working those legs. But always remember, a good truck driver shuts down when there is too much ice, snow, or driving winds. I know that. You know that. We've all talked about that. I believe the advice came from the great James Fonda at one point in time. Don't try too hard. If you're not comfortable out there, you don't think it's safe for you to get there, go ahead and shut it down. They would much rather have you realize that before you get into the blizzard than once you're stuck in it. Like I said, we're really pressed for time today, so big ups to the Advanced Career Institute. Once again, advanced.edu for that blog post and giving us a little bit to talk about today in the way of winter driving. But we got more interviews we got to get to, so I'm moving. Joining me next here on the H&M Trucking podcast is Service and Equipment Manager for H&M Trucking, Jim Musel. Jim, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, no problem, Marcus. Thanks for calling.
Well,
Thanks for letting me have it on there.
I can.
Yeah, I got you laughing now.
I hear the reticence in your voice. That was the most non-sincere thanks for calling I think I've ever heard, Jim.
Just messing with you.
I appreciate it, as always. I understand sometimes the podcast isn't everybody's favorite thing to do, but for those of you that do come on, it's a huge deal for me, so I'll make it as quick and painless as I possibly can, all right?
Yeah, no problem.
So we're talking about the changing of the seasons and winter driving here. It's an episode that we're going to do this time of year, every single year when we're on. And I wanted to have you on to see if you could talk to me about some important aspects for drivers to remember when it comes to maintaining their trucks during the winter months.
Oh, yes. Always want to make sure that you got your fuel additive. Always watch the weather ahead of you. I mean, honestly, if the weather's that bad, nobody wants to be out there in that kind of weather. We got to be safe. I like to always say is, if you haven't looked at your chains, we got to look at chains on the truck. Make sure that we don't have any broken ones sitting on there because they've been on there all year. And if you got any problems, let us know in the shop. But yeah, make sure that you got your fuel additive going and mix and put that in before you shut your truck down, just so it's through the system.
Have you ever had any time when somebody forgot to use the additive before they shut down and it got super cold and caused some problems?
Yes. Yeah, we've had multiple issues of that before in the past, and hopefully we're past them days.
Hopefully indeed.
a lot of the truck stops right now, some of them are already having additive put on them, like in the northern areas in the Midwest. A lot of the pumps already have pre-additive mix in them. So if the driver's honestly getting fuel in the Midwest or the North, please just look to see if the pump's got a sticker on it telling you already got mixture in it, and then you don't have to over-treat it. Because if you over-treat with treatment, it's just like under-treating it. It just clogs up the fuel filter, and then you guys can't get rolling down the road because it just plugged up.
Sure. Big thing to pay attention to there. It's nice, I guess, that they're putting some additive in it before and you don't have to worry about it. But then again, if you're not paying attention, you end up causing yourself the same problems anyway. So good to pay good attention to those stickers on the fuel pumps. Make sure that you're in the right position there. Have you seen any trends at the shop lately as the weather starts to turn, or do you expect to see any trends?
I'm going to see a lot of trends by drivers calling in, saying that their trucks aren't, running tip-top shape, and fuel mileage is cutting off and getting worse. And that's for the winter time. They changed the fuel structure on how they hydrate the fuel to be for summer to winter. It gets a little dirtier in the winter, so that's where you see the fuel filters plug up more. So we just ask drivers to, when you pop your hood, see where your fuel filter's out, let us know if it needs to be replaced. We're going to have a lot more fuel filter changes on the winter time than we do in the summertime.
Sure. I had a fuel filter clog up in an old Ford Focus once while I was headed up Cabbage Hill, and it just stopped. I was doing 60, and the whole thing just shut down. And I was parked on the side of the road in a blizzard for a very long time. Not something I would recommend, and something that I'm sure plenty of drivers have been through and don't want to go through again.
Right. And then you always want to make sure don't run your tanks down on empty, because that's going to be hard too. That's the worst thing in the winter, because condensation and the aluminum on them tanks will bring in water. So you'll see a lot more issues with that too.
Yeah. Now, it started for me back when they upped the amount of ethanol in the gas. I know for four-wheelers, that was something that could clog a fuel filter like no problem. I mean, my lawnmower, you can't leave gas in a lawnmower anymore if you just buy it down at the store, because the fuel filter always gets clogged because of that stuff. It's just a headache. So help Jim out and the guys at the shop by keeping an eye on that stuff and not having to come in and get your fuel filter replaced because you were laying down on the job, right?
Well, you just let the shop know if you guys got any problems on the road. That's the best thing, so we can get that fixed up right away and not down on the side of the road on the interstate, gelled up or broke down. We want to get it where we can get it fixed so it doesn't go down on them.
Absolutely. Any other advice you want to give the drivers in preparation for inclement weather, Jim, before I let you get back to it?
I just say watch the weather and be safe out there.
Watch the weather and be safe out there, indeed. Well said, Jim. I appreciate your time, as always, my friend. And like it or not, I'll call you back sometime later and get you back on the podcast, all right?
Oh, no problem, Marcus. I appreciate it. Thanks, sir.
No problem. That's Jim Musel, Service and Equipment Manager for H&M Trucking.
Knowledge and stories from coast to coast. This is your Driver Profile.
Joining us next here on episode 33 of the H&M Trucking Podcast is Scott Beals, making his second appearance, if I'm not mistaken. Correct, Scott?
Second or third, yes, sir.
Second or third. Yeah, it's my memory's it's worse for the wear these days. But thank you for being here, my friend.
You bet.
Where are you at and where are you headed today, Scott?
I'm in Cartersville, Georgia, headed to Duluth, Georgia. Hello, Windows.
Sounds like a pretty short drive, yeah?
It started out in Pella, Iowa.
Ah, okay. So it's a short drive from where you're at to where you're going, but it was a long drive to begin with.
Yes.
Gotcha. Well, what's new out there, man? I mean, it's been a while since we've talked. How are things going out there on the road for you?
Same old, same old. Just different day, different project.
I gotcha. Well, we are, I'm a little worried, first of all, because you're talking to me from the state of Georgia, and I have to ask every time. I'm not 100% familiar with the geography of Georgia and where everything is. Are you having to go through Atlanta on this trip?
Yeah.
You can hear it in your voice. I'm so sorry to laugh. I shouldn't be laughing because I can hear the dejection in your voice when you say that you've got to go through Atlanta. Do you hate driving through?
I'll say it this way. I don't enjoy it. Maybe I'm out of turn, but somebody farts wrong down here. You got a traffic back up for 10 miles.
I can almost guarantee you that won't be the most out of turn thing on this episode this week, Scott. So you're more than good, but you're a proper guy, and I get that. I like that. It's always been something. I have not spoken to one driver, and it's, a lot of people would listen to this podcast and wonder why I'm constantly asking about Atlanta. And it's because in my travels here as the podcast host for H&M, I have spoken to one driver that didn't really mind California. And California and Atlanta are seems to be the two places that the truck drivers don't like to go. I've yet to find someone that says they don't mind Atlanta. Everybody hates it down there.
Sure do.
Have you gone through it yet, or are you still headed that direction?
Still headed that direction.
Okay, well, I'm sorry to bring it up before you get there, buddy, because I know it's probably not going to be great when you do. What do you suppose is the biggest? Is it just overpopulated for the roads down there, or what is it that causes it to be such a headache?
A little of both. A couple of weeks ago, I was downtown Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz. I call it the Coliseum, and I had to pick up a trade show down there.
Mm-hmm.
And the Atlanta streets downtown is not designed for a 53-foot trailer or a 75-foot rig. It's very hard to maneuver.
Oh, I can imagine. So did you have any trouble, or were you able to get in and out of there without anything other than just a headache? I mean, obviously the headache is something you don't want to have to deal with if you can keep from it, but the equipment, everything was safe after you got out of there, I assume?
Yeah. Yes, sir. I went down there first. I was a day early for a pickup. I went down there on Saturday. I was supposed to pick up on Sunday. Pulled up down there, and they said, we ain't got room for you. You want to go back to truck stop. Okay. We'll call you if we get room for you. Yeah. Okay. So, anyway, I get over to truck stop. Have to pay $28 to park in the truck stop there at Petro in Atlanta. So, I get settled in. They call me up. We got room for you now.
After you've already paid $28 for a parking spot?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Is that pretty common down there in Atlanta where you have to pay, or is that common all the way across the U.S. having to pay that much for a parking spot?
No, not really. Atlanta, that Petro is right in the middle of town area. Well, it's on the outskirts, but it's right in the middle, and that place stays jam-packed all the time. Either you're going to pay $28 for reserve parking, or you're going to have to, if you find a free parking spot, it ain't really free. You're going to have to buy $25 worth of goods, like you buy a meal, keep the receipt, show it to them on the gate on the way out. So you're going to get money off of you one way or the other.
Sure. Sounds like it. So how long did you get to keep your $28 parking spot before you headed back to the stadium?
About 2 or 3 hours.
Oh, gosh, Scott.
Then I get back down there to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium and got checked in and everything like that. Good to go. I wasn't through with my 10-hour break. So they called me like 3 o'clock in the morning, their time. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning, my time. They called me. We're ready to load you. So I had to put it on PC. I put it on PC restroom break. So I went back there in the Coliseum and got back there, and they says, there's stuff in the nose of your trailer. Duh. You just now figuring that out? Well, we ain't going to be able to load 4 pallets, sir. I'm sorry, but that's your problem, not mine. I'm a delivery boy. I got told to pick this trailer up. It was a liftgate trailer.
Uh-huh.
And so they had gear left over from the last run and the nose of the trailer. So they loaded it up, and I went back over there and got permission. I says, can I finish out my break now? Yeah, you can stay here. All right, go. But I wasn't going to go back and pay $28 more. Petro parking lot was jam-packed.
Yeah, and just because you pulled out of there to go get loaded doesn't mean they're going to give you the benefit of the doubt and let you keep your parking spot while you're not there.
No, they're not. But that's the joys of trucking. As they say, that's trucking.
Yeah, I've heard that one a lot. Now, you touched on something there that was kind of interesting to me, because you're the second driver in a week's time that has told me about getting woken up in the very early hours of the morning while you're trying to get your rest in, get your 10 in there. And is that something that happens pretty frequently? The other driver that I know of was woken up at 1 a.m. to go and get loaded, right dead in the middle of basically sleeping for the night. Does this happen to you guys pretty frequently?
No, not really. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm in touch with a lot of drivers, associates or friends, however you want to put it.
Mm-hmm.
And the reefer drivers, a lot of their appointments is anywhere from 10 o'clock at night till 5 o'clock in the morning.
Ugh.
So they have to know how to do what they call a split break. A split break is like, it has to equal up to 10 hours. Mm-hmm. Okay, you can do 7 and 3, or you can do 8 and 2. But you have to have a total of 10-hour break in there somewhere.
Right. Wow, that would be, I don't know, man. When I want to sleep, I want to lay down and sleep. I don't want to wake up and go do something and then go back and get, a couple more hours of sleep. I would imagine that those drivers probably struggle with that type of schedule from time to time.
They do. I know quite a few of them. That's one of the reasons I don't like doing reefer business. I was a team driver for over 10 years. As I told you before, I think, that I worked for the United States government, DOD, Department of Defense. But it's kind of hard. It's hard on your body to sleep while the truck's moving down the road, bumps, because these highways are not smooth.
Right. I can imagine, and especially if you're going through high traffic areas, all the kind of stopping and starting that you'll be doing, or if you're going through a metropolitan city, all the stoplights, all the traffic jams. I could never sleep through that. I don't know how you guys do it.
Yeah. You have to get used to it.
Did you ever end up in the net? Did you have a net back then when you were team driving that ever have your teammate slam on the brakes and try to throw you up into the cab with him?
Yeah. Matter of fact, she was I trained her to drive. I trained her to drive myself. She learned to drive with Schneider. I was with Schneider as a lease operator. Mm-hmm. I had my own truck, and I was leasing my truck to Schneider. I talked to Don Schneider himself and asked him would my insurance go up if I trained her. He says, no, it won't, but you're going to be responsible for her. Okay, so I trained her. I had to work off some edges with her. She loved to go around the corners a little fast, and that was a rude awakening a couple times, but I told her, I said, that's a year's worth of rubber come off of my truck. And then I had to teach her how not to double clutch. Clutch once when you take it out of gear, and then clutch again, put it back in gear.
And what is so is that to prolong the life of the clutch, or what's the thought process behind that, Scott?
Yes, that is to make your clutch last longer. It costs back then it cost like $2,500 to have a new clutch put in your truck. Mm-hmm. I imagine it's $3,000 or $4,000 now.
Oh yeah. Prices only go up in this world. That's what I'm learning.
Yeah.
How about that $6 diesel out there in California? Right. That's another example.
Yeah, it was up. It was up almost 7. I think it was 7 a couple times.
That's crazy.
I'm disappointed in my government. Now, don't get me wrong. I have to respect the office of the president. I have to defend that office, and I have to obey the orders comes out of there. Because in the military, I had to take 2 oaths. Number 1 oath I had to take was to get in the military. Another oath I had to take to become a non-commissioned officer.
Mm-hmm. And, those oaths, listen, a lot of, if not all of the former military service members that I speak to on this program, I think are kind of right there with you. They might not necessarily agree with the things that happen, given the current president, whoever that might be, and whatever side of the aisle they fall on, but they respect the office. And that's something that I think comes out of your military service, it sounds like.
It does. It does. A lot of people call us that we got a warped mind. You're right. We do. But we was taught how to be team, work as a team. They break you down as an individual and build you back up as a team. You have to depend on your fighting position next to you, or you have to depend on the person in your fighting position with you. No matter if they're purple with pink polka dots, no matter if they wear a bra and panties. That's the way it is. That's your job. Mm-hmm. If they don't want to do their job, they dang sure ain't gonna like what's gonna happen next.
Sure.
I'm not making no threats. That's not my objective.
I think you're being you're being reasonable. If you don't, out there in the field of battle, listen, I don't have any experience out there, but I imagine that having everybody's back that's out there fighting alongside of you is probably paramount. Otherwise, when you say you're not going to like what's going to happen next, you're risking life and limb, not only yours, but other people's.
Yes. And the country depends on you to get the job done.
For sure. Now, Scott, I'm going to ask you this. If you don't want to talk about it, we can just move on. But if you have any thoughts, share them with me here. The freight market, everybody knows you're a driver. You've been out there. You've seen it. The market is definitely not where we want it to be right now. It's down. Everybody is feeling it all the way across the board. You also said that your government's disappointing you a little bit. What type of changes do you think need to be made to right this ship a little bit?
Well, one of the things that I wish they would have worked on our parking issue before they put ELDs in our trucks. For the people listening that don't know what an ELD is, it's electronic logging device. Mm-hmm. And when this truck moves, the company knows about it. They know how fast it's moving, where it's moving to, what direction it is going. If you got hours, they know if the truck's moving. They know if the trailer's moving. They know where both of them are at any given time. Mm-hmm. I think it's within 10 feet. Plus, they got a camera in the truck.
Right,
so
right.
They can look at that camera anytime they want.
Now, I know that the parking issue is huge, and it's been an issue for going on 20-plus years now. I actually just read an article from ATRI, the American Transportation Research Institute, that talks about the top 10, the top 10 issues that the trucking industry faces. And number 2 on that list was truck parking. Why do you think they should have addressed the parking issue before introducing the electric logs? Is that because of the personal conveyance and everything like that you guys have to mess around with and try to weave in and out of so that you don't move the truck when you don't have hours?
Right. And when you're parking on a get on ramp or get off ramp of the freeway, you're endangering your life. You're risking a tractor like a Volvo tractor. We'll say most tractors is $200,000. Mm-hmm. And then your trailers, somewhere around about $30,000. You've already got close to $300,000 of equipment at risk, plus your life. Then, on top of that, you may have $1 million worth of freight on the back of your trailer. You're putting all that at danger. Look at what happened in Illinois. I think it was earlier this year. Might have been last year. Greyhound bus ran into the back of a parked truck.
Oh, no.
And he killed the driver and a couple of passengers, too. And of course, they tried to blame it on the driver because he shouldn't have been parked there.
But he didn't have any place else to park, I assume.
Correct. The rest area was jam-packed. Plus, there was probably a couple illegal people parked there, too.
Sure. Do you think that they should open up just kind of some basic lots? I mean, it doesn't seem like truck parking is that hard of an issue to address, but it also seems like they always want to have something else wrapped around it, whether it be a rest area, with a viewpoint and all this other stuff, or it be a big truck stop. Do you think that the industry would benefit from just having a big open parking lot alongside the freeway in some sort of interval where the drivers can just utilize that? There doesn't need to be all this pomp and circumstance around it?
Well, you're right in one way, one aspect. But the problem they've got now is, it's been around for a while, but you got females in the trucks too. You got about 10 to 12% females. You need to have the parking area well lit. Mm-hmm. And you got to think about when you have a truck in there, all that cargo is accessible to thieves too, cargo thieves.
Sure. So there's a few different things that need to be thought about, like security is a big one. Obviously, safety is another big one before they can just lay down blacktop and stripe it and let you park there.
Correct. And you got to be able, that parking lot's got to be able to handle the weight.
Right.
Too.
Right.
They was talking about some drive-in movie theaters, since we don't use them no more. They was talking, OIDA, Owner Operators Independent Driver Association in Congress, was looking at opening up a couple of the drive-in theaters and pave them and put concrete down and pave them and make them parking spaces for trucks.
Oh, hey, and they'd have the infrastructure to throw up a theater screen if they wanted to add a little bit of entertainment to the mix for you guys, right?
Yeah. Interstate 80 is one of the worst ones to have parking issues, especially during the wintertime, because Interstate 80 gets shut down quite a bit.
Right.
They just opened up 200 parking spaces along Interstate 80 not too long ago.
Well, that's good, but that seems like kind of a drop in the bucket, yeah?
It is. It is a drop in the bucket.
Sure. Well, Scott, I really appreciate it, man. It's always good to talk to you. We're running up against the clock here right now. There's two things I want to get to, though, before we take off. You told me a joke the other day. You know, you and I were setting up this interview. We were chatting about your relationship with your dispatcher, and I want you to go ahead, if you'll be willing, to share the joke about the dispatcher with me that you shared on the phone the other day.
There's this driver that died and went to heaven. He was up over St. Peter. And St. Peter said, "I hear you're a truck driver." "Yes, sir." He says, "We got a bunch of beautiful trucks here." He took him around, showed him Peterbilt, Western Star, Volvo, Freightliner, Mack trucks. And the driver looked at the St. Peter after he looked at all the trucks. He says, "What's going on with the trucks? None of them have over 30 miles on them." "Well, we couldn't get dispatchers up here."
And, you know, there's more to just hearing the joke again, Scott, behind that, all right? I haven't got hardly any dispatchers from H&M to join me on this show yet. You know, I talked to them when I was there at the home office, and they were great. They gave me a bunch of information. They told me a bunch of different things to talk about and issues that we could bring up on the show. But when I asked them, so would you guys be willing to come on and talk about that? In unison, all of them shook their head no. And so I'm just going to keep having drivers share jabs at dispatchers on the show until one of them finally decides to come on here and defend themselves.
Well, I'll tell you, the dispatcher I have is Terry. I enjoy working with that man. He has 20 years over-the-road driving experience. And the only thing I don't like about him, I can't bullshit him. I can't kind of make up something, you know. So, but he's good. I enjoy working with him. We've got, he's got 27 people on his board. He says when he works at after hours, he enjoys it because hardly ever his drivers calls up with a nitpicky thing. Says when they call up, they got a serious problem. So.
Well, it sounds like he runs a tight ship. Next time you talk to him, nudge him a little bit about coming on to the podcast. I'd love to have some dispatchers from H&M on this show.
All right. We just got a new driver. His name, well, I'll just leave his name blank. But he said he's been looking for a company like this. And he said the only thing he don't like is they gave him a Freightliner instead of a Volvo.
I had my fingers crossed there that you were going to say the only thing he didn't like was that he hadn't been on the podcast yet, Scott.
I told him, I said, you know, he said, well, he's a preacher and or a minister, as we say in the military, they're chaplains.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he says, you must be special by being on the podcast. And I told him I was going to be on a podcast again. He says, man, I like to hear that. Me and him developed a good friendship because he asked me for advice on what I would do in the situation. So,
well, that's great, man. I know that you're always out there befriending new drivers and giving all the advice that you can out there and helping these new guys along. And hats off to you for that, Scott, because you don't have to do it, but it's very clear that you want to and that you're willing to. And H&M, I'm sure, values a driver with your experience and your willingness to step in and help these guys.
Oh, yeah. It don't have to be an H&M driver. I had a couple of drivers last night was having problems getting into parking spots up there close to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. I helped them get into it, and they said, we sure appreciate it. You're cool. You're good. Just pass it on.
You don't pass the hat. You don't have them throw a couple of dollars in your hat or anything like that for the next $28 parking space that you have to pay for. All right. Well, hey, listen, I remember that awesome tagline that you signed off with last time, Scott. I got to get off here and let you go, but hit me with that so that we can wrap this thing up.
All right. May the good Lord be with you wherever you may travel. Be well, be safe. And as Spock used to say on Starship Enterprise, live long and prosper, my friends.
That's Scott Beals, H&M truck driver. Scott, we really appreciate you. Be safe out there, all right?
You bet.
Episode 33 is in the books. With that, I want to thank everybody for being here today. Can you believe that, though? 33 episodes already. That's a lot of episodes. That's like, the kids would call that a grip. Or maybe that's not the kids. Maybe that's like the 30-somethings would call that a grip. If you're 40, you would call it a ton. I don't know. If you're like a 20-year-old or something, you're probably calling it something obscure that I like. That's a camera of episodes. I don't know. I don't speak the language of the young kids. If you do, please feel free to give me a call and talk me through it, because I don't understand what's going on out here anymore. But what I do know is we've got 33 episodes in the books of the H&M Trucking podcast now, not to mention 18 episodes that happened on the old podcast, Unplugged OTR. They're all in the same podcast feed, so that means that you've got, I don't know, like 50-something episodes, pushing 60 episodes to listen to. Wait, 61 episodes to listen to right now. That's how I do math. Like, I'll work my way through it. Just give me some time. There's plenty out there for you to listen to. If you haven't checked out those old episodes of Unplugged OTR, we used to get really goofy on this podcast, have a lot of fun doing some really off-the-wall things, like sending our old buddy Caleb to a truck stop to take a shower and having him pick up Thanksgiving dinner from a Flying J in a cardboard box, essentially. So those ones are a lot of fun to listen to. I implore you to go check those out, and also listen through the rest of the H&M Trucking podcast episodes. I mean, these episodes average about an hour a piece, so we're sitting here talking about enough hours to get you through your week if all you did was listen to this podcast. And we all know that you can't live with that, all right? I watched my poor mother dye her hair from a young age when I was a young kid, because I produce gray hair. So let me tell you, I could age even the finest wine. So just go check out the podcast. We appreciate everybody for coming on today. I want to thank them once again. Dean Edmunds, Faith Adams, Jim Musel, and Scott Beals. Those were our guests today on the podcast. It was our winter driving episode. There's some good, wholesome nuggets in there of information, so make sure you check it out and click subscribe when you're all done, and then share it with your friends. That's all I've got for you today. I'm probably already over the hour mark, which means that I'm not doing my job correctly. But what's new? Am I right? Stay fresh, cheese bags.
Thank you for listening to the H&M Trucking Podcast. Please leave a review, subscribe, and connect with Marcus over at the H&M Trucking social media channels. And if you're considering a job at H&M, find us at hmtrucking.com. Until next time, stay safe and ahead of the curve drivers.